I lived in LA for years. We used to say we really didn't trust air that you couldn't see. So what we have here, though, is air that even if you see it, you're going to miss the fine particles. And this stuff is not particularly good for your health, as you might imagine. Particulate air pollution and carotid artery stenosis is the topic, and this is in the March 24th issue of JACC, and it is with Jonathan D. Newman that I speak, MD, MPH, instructor of medicine at the New York University School of Medicine. So this is outdoor fine particulate air pollution. You have that stuff on the right coast too, don't you?
We do. It's pretty ubiquitous. It's pretty common.
So when you can see the air, that's one thing, but you're talking about stuff that's really fine, correct?
So it's a very interesting point. The fine particle or fine particulate air pollution that we investigated is a common source of air pollution from combustion, from car engines, from smokestacks, from wood burning. So it's both visible and invisible. It is a component of smog along with a lot of other air pollution components.
Right. Well, I thought it was interesting, but first, I guess, why did you do this study? I mean, we're talking about carotid artery stenosis and fine particulate. Huh?
It's a great question. So there is a lot of evidence about air pollution or environmental exposures in general and risk of heart disease and risk of stroke. That's existed for a long time. But what we did for the first time in a large sample of people, over 300,000 people, in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, we looked at the association between air pollution, fine particle air pollution, and carotid artery stenosis, or narrowing in one of those big arteries in your neck. And we wanted to do that because it had never been looked at whether you could see changes in that artery based on air pollution exposure. That's why we did the study, to get some more information about how air pollution affects the vascular system.
You have a very large group to study. How did you do it and what did you find?
Great, so great question. So what we did was we worked very closely, and I think this is a unique strength of our study, with our colleagues at NYU Langone Medical Center in environmental medicine. We use data from the Environmental Protection Agency's air quality monitoring system. They have air quality monitors located roughly in zip codes around the country. We used, with our environmental medicine colleagues, data from those monitors and associated it with the results of vascular screening tests from a large nationwide sample of vascular screening, the Lifeline Vascular Screening Company. And we looked at that to find the association there in air pollution and narrowing of the carotid artery. We found basically that for every 10 micrograms, or an increase in air pollution, let's say, there was an almost twofold increased risk of narrowing of that artery in your neck. For smaller units of change, the association was about a 10% increase in risk of narrowing of that artery in your neck. And this is important because carotid artery stenosis is a strong risk factor for stroke. So it, I think, gives us more evidence about the effects of air pollution and environmental exposures on cardiovascular health.
So is it really that it's worse than we thought, or is it just that we can now see the damage that we have anticipated before?
That's a really interesting question. I think it's twofold. I think one of the things that we showed that's important about air pollution or environmental exposures in general is that the risk existed after we adjusted for all those other known factors for vascular disease, for carotid artery stenosis. The big things: high blood pressure, high cholesterol, smoking, physical inactivity. We actually had a measure of socioeconomic status that we adjusted for. Even after thinking about those big things, air pollution was important for carotid artery stenosis. So I think we're paying more attention to it, and that's, I think, one of the big findings of our study, is that environmental exposures broadly may be a class of risk factors that we should pay more attention to.
Well, I think it's a great piece, and I'm very happy that you did this. This is in the March 24th issue of JACC, and it is Jonathan Newman and colleagues, and please check out Cardiol Source World News for a variety of stories from ACC 2015 here in beautiful San Diego, California. For CSWN, I'm Rick McGuire.